Number 5. James L. Chaffin. In 1921, James L. Chaffin, a farmer from North Carolina, died after he suffered a fall. He left behind a wife and 4 sons, though the will he had written many years before only left his 3rd son the farm. The next year, that son, Marshall, died, causing a problem since there were no provisions for what should happen. Because of this oversight, he wound up losing their entire estate to Marshall's widow. However, in 1925, James's 2nd son, James Jr., filed a lawsuit to challenge that will's validity. He said the ghost of his father had been appearing to him in dreams. In one dream, he was wearing an overcoat and told his son the new will could be found in the inside pocket. When he woke up, he retrieved his father's overcoat and discovered the inside pocket was covered by a new lining. Hidden in that pocket was a note that read, "Read the 27th chapter of Genesis in my daddy's old Bible." James Jr. found the Bible and found a new will next to the 27th chapter of Genesis. The will had been written in 1919 and divided the estate equally among all 4 of his children. At the trial, the will was proved valid, and even Marshall's widow agreed to a settlement that returned control of the estate to the family. Number 4. The Pollys Island Gray Ghost. Pollys Island is a coastal town not too far from Charleston, South Carolina. Ever since 1822, there have been numerous sightings of a mysterious spectral figure who wanders the coastline. A popular theory as to who the man is tells of him being a young man on his way to ask his lover to marry him, but unfortunately he died after getting stuck in quicksand, never being able to ask for her hand. Because of this, he is forced to wander the area looking for his love. He always makes an appearance before a major hurricane hits the area. If you happen to encounter him, you and your property will be spared from the storm's destruction. Most recently, a couple spotted him while out on a walk. Not long after, Hurricane Hugo hit, and they were spared as well as their home, despite all the destruction around them. Number 3. Zona Easter, shoo. In January 1897, 23-year-old Zona Easter, shoo died under mysterious circumstances in West Virginia. When the doctor arrived, Zona's husband had already moved her body from the downstairs area and dressed her. He began acting suspiciously, but since it had been ruled her cause of death was heart failure, no one thought too much of it. However, weeks after Zona was buried, her mother went to the local prosecutor to ask for her daughter's body to be exhumed. She explained that her daughter's ghost had been visiting her and told her that her husband had been abusive and she had actually died from a broken neck caused by her husband strangling her. Surprisingly, the officials agreed, and upon an autopsy, they discovered her neck had, in fact, been broken. In court, Zona's mother was challenged regarding her ghost story, but the woman never wavered. Her account was so convincing that her son-in-law was found guilty and given a life sentence at Moundsville Penitentiary, where he died 3 years later. Number 2. Teresitabasa. Teresitabasa was a respiratory therapist who worked in Chicago. Her body was found in her apartment in 1979 when someone called in a fire. She had been stabbed in the chest with a butcher knife the killer hadn't bothered to remove. She was naked and covered with a mattress. The mattress had been set on fire after the killer had also robbed her and potentially raped her. At first, the police had no leads. They had no way to trace the jewelry that had been taken, and no one with a motive. Teresita's friend and co-worker, Remy Chua, said that she was being haunted by her friend's ghost, who was telling her what happened. Remy told police that an orderly named Alan Showery had gone to Basa's apartment to fix her TV. At some point, he had assaulted her and killed her. She even claimed the man had given the stolen jewelry to his girlfriend. The police were doubtful, but they did question the man at his house. It was there they saw his girlfriend with the jewelry. He was sentenced to 14 years for Teresita's murder. Number 1. The Utah Ghost. Lastly, and most recently, officers in Utah rescued a toddler who was submerged in a car. Officers said they could see a person in the front seat, and they heard a voice saying, "Help me, we're in here." One officer was quoted as saying the voice was as clear as day. They pulled the baby, an 18-month-old girl, from the freezing water, unconscious. Meanwhile, her mother lay dead in the driver's seat. The two had been stranded in the freezing water for 14 hours. When the police heard the mysterious voice coming from the car, they replied back to hang in there and that they were doing the best they could. The voice pleaded with them to try harder because someone in the vehicle might still be alive.